97.5, the Fanatic Philadelphia.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Best show ever here on 97.5, the Fanatic NBC Sports Philadelphia. 610-632-0975 is the number to participate. Let me tell you, another day, another opportunity to be better. So let's get right to our mass email mandated opening statements. And we start with the word of the day. And the word of the day, everybody, is pledge. Not lemon pledge. More like the Pledge of Allegiance type pledge. Although don't sleep on lemon pledge. That's a fine product. With that in mind, we have an opportunity right now because we're in a bit of a weird time with sports right now. The Flyers, good win last night, but unfortunately they haven't done enough to grab the people this season. We're post-Eagles. Sixers start back Thursday, and then baseball shortly after. We're in a bit of a dead zone. And with that in mind, we have an opportunity to be better. The reason the show's called the best show ever is because these are the best fans ever. But as I always say, no fan base, no people are perfect. You can't expect perfection, but you can strive for that perfection. And I think that we should all, individually and collectively, have a pledge to be better as fans when the Sixers start back up tomorrow night when they play the Grizzlies. And there are a number of ways this could go. Don't you think, Hunter, we're a great fan base, but we can all, and that includes us, do a little better.
We definitely can. And it's good that it starts with the Sixers because I think that's where we need to improve the most. For some reason, there's always context that's lost. And I hate to beat a dead horse, but everyone just looks at the head coach and the previous failures as an organization with the second-round exit in mind. And I get it's frustrating, but the other coach for the Brooklyn Nets right now is publicly saying, I can't work with this guy, Ben Simmons, that is. I can't put anybody next to him if I go big, if I go small. There's so many issues. We had to deal with that. So part of the pledge for me is to recognize that there's context with these second-round exits that seems to get lost in the sauce. And we need to kind of change our mentality looking ahead, realizing that this team is damn good. They have the fourth best record in the NBA at the All-Star break. Have some faith. There's a lot of talent on this team.
There is a lot of talent on the Sixers, but I'm even going to go deeper than that. I have found this year, since we've started this show, what I have found is getting to the championship has been good enough. I'm going to pledge that I'm going to keep pushing because I want to see the apex. I want to see the championships. And I think that's one thing. I mean, we saw it after the Phillies won. What was the day after we were hearing, what a great run. What a great run. With the Eagles, we were hearing it a day or two after. What a great run they had. You know, we should be happy for the run they had. Let's stop being happy for second place. You know, make a pledge to be number one.
I love that. Also, I think we should all make a pledge that the Sixers, which what you had in mind there, Hunter, they've won 27 of 33. That's not an opinion. Of the last 33 games they've played, they've won 27 of them. Now, if you listen to the fans, Doc only coached the 6 losses. The 27 wins, he did not coach. Can we at least make a pledge to say that Doc Rivers coaches all the games? Like, can we just go there? Because I would love to get to where Ricky is. I would love to get to where you are, Hunter. I'm even prepared to start even simpler. Can we even get to the point as Sixers fans where we admit that Doc Rivers coaches both the wins and the losses? Because if you listen to the fans, he only coaches the losses. And that's where, and there's something that applies for all the sports. And you can have your own pledge, but we should all, individually and collectively, try to be better going forward, because if we're not getting better, then you're basically getting worse because the people around you are getting better. And I think it's just important at a time like this to take personal stock. Here's another thing I think we should pledge. If Joel Embiid is going to lead the league in scoring, then we got to pledge to not care how he does it. I don't care how he does it. He's also, by the way, having his most efficient season. So it's not like he's taking 40 shots to get those 33 points. It's his most efficient season. So if he's first or second in scoring, I don't care how he gets it done as long as he gets it done.
And with the players, I acknowledge that the players in this league are majority of the reason why you succeed.
Yes.
But there is a portion that the coach provides.
Yes.
I don't find it weird that Doc Rivers is here and Joel Embiid right now is averaging 33.1 points per game. Last season, he averaged 30.6. So the limitation that a coach does provide, whatever that is percentage-wise, is playing a role in the dominance that Joel Embiid has. And I don't know if that's getting recognized or appreciated. Well, yeah, Joel Embiid can go do his thing no matter who the coach is, but you jump up to 33 points per game, and last year he led the entire league. How come I've never heard a soul mention the correlation between Doc and Embiid's point per games?
There never will be. Nobody will bring that up. Don't you understand this? That this isn't anything but a cop-out, that when they lose, they have one person that they want to go blame. You never hear the players getting blamed, unless it's P.J. Tucker, excuse me. And then, earlier in the year, people didn't even want Embiid here. I mean, to me, that's is the most pathetic statement I've ever heard, because this guy is a beast. He could score from all parts of the court. He rebounds for you. He plays defense. He blocks shots. I mean, in all honesty, he's kind of a basketball god. Why is he not treated that way here?
I don't know. And there's another thing that we should discuss today in addition to that. So 610-632-0975. We'll be asking for simple pledges today to make us all accountable and make all of us better. And what I mean by accountable is there'll be people. Some of them I know for a fact are mentally ill, unfortunately, that'll go on Twitter. And the thing is, somebody might be having a pencil in both ears and a pen in both nostrils typing. But because you can't see them, you don't realize that that person's dealing with a mental health crisis when they're typing things. I happen to know there are a couple people who are prominent in the Sixers Twitterverse who are literally mentally ill to say crazy things. We don't have to give that kind of stuff attention. We're allowed to just skip past that kind of stuff and talk to the people that are doing better currently in a mental situation. Now, Anthony and I have had a bit of a disagreement about this thing, and I would like to hear you guys weigh in. I believe that part of load management and all this stuff that happens in sports is because of society. Society has decided that if you don't win a title as a player, you're a loser. Hence why there are people out there that are called Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook, and you name the player without a ring, a loser. James Harden. While in previous generations, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, all these Hall of Fame guys were not called losers just because they didn't have a ring. Society has changed. So then the players and the teams adjust and say, okay, if the only thing you guys care about is the end, we're going to do everything we can to make our players as healthy as possible at the end. That's individuals. But a team, but then he'll counter and say, well, what did you guys say about the Phillies? To your point you originally brought up, Ricky. Well, here's the thing. There's a difference between the team and the players. We know Bryce Harper has 2 MVPs and 0 rings. He's not a loser. But the organizations, those years he's played, they are. You see, the teams, there are certain facts. The Phillies were up 2-1. In the World Series and then got no hit in the following game and lost the series. No opinion there. Therefore, the team collectively didn't get the job done. Schwarber had a great year. Nola, in large part, had a great year. A lot of players had great years, but as a team, losers because there's but one winner. With individual players, it's a different deal. You guys, do you understand? You picking up what I'm putting down?
I couldn't agree with you more. You can separate individual from the team in regards to the championship.
Yes.
You could be a fantastic player that ended up as a team coming up short.
Right.
That means he's not Russell Westbrook. That's the example I'm using because everyone calls him the bum of the world now, and he's not a winner and all that.
Triple doubles, but he's a bum.
Exactly. So I see it the same way, and the Sixers are kind of an example of why the regular season doesn't matter. You win 27 of 33 games, and not a soul cares. No one gives you credit for it. So if I'm Joel or James Harden on October 26th or November 17th or whatever the date is, why does it matter if I go out there and give it my all if you're not even going to give me the credit anyway? So that's how I would look at it from a regular season. I'm going to sit down and rest, and I'm going to enjoy this day off to maximize myself at the end of the year. You don't even appreciate if I was to go out there and ball. So I'm on your side 1,000%.
I think there's two types of people. People that will look at it that you're giving away a game, which you're not necessarily doing. I mean, you take one guy out of your rotation, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose that game. I think in certain situations, I mean, we've seen Joel Embiid try to play through injury after injury after injury in the playoffs. I'd rather see him 100% healthy going into game one of the playoffs and go all the way through without seeing too many injuries. So in that position, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a great thing. As a matter of fact, you've asked me before, if I pitch nowadays, how many years would I have gotten out of my career? I bet you at least 5 more.
Right.
And that's probably because I was abused and I let it happen. So it was partially my fault. And now that you look at it, you could bring up certain guys. Don Mattingly, I think, is one of the perfect guys to bring up because in my childhood, he was probably one of the best players of all time. And definitely one of the best first basemen.
And one of the better
He's
players
never won
in the
anything.
80s.
And I'll bring up one more. Roy Halladay.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Never won a World Series. But he won all the accolades, though.
Right. So
there are great guys that haven't won championships.
And that's what I'm saying. The job of the organization, win every year. That's the job going in. Players, it's different. You can have individual excellence, and we recognize that, without necessarily team success. So the all or nothing applies to the teams, in that we don't give you credit for anything until you provide the championship we deserve. But players, if they provide sustained excellence, like Schwarber did last year, for example, Schwarber isn't a loser. The Phillies too often have been losers. And that's where I think too many people now can't separate the player from the organization.
If that player in any sport leaves you feeling good about yourself after a season, he's a great player.
And that was
Good way to
Schwarber.
put it.
That was Schwarber last year, right, Jen?
Yeah.
That was Schwarber. That's Harper most years.
Yes.
He was hurt last year. I mean,
But even still, he did. I wouldn't say his numbers didn't show it, but he played a key role in the Phillies getting to where they were.
Yeah, I like using Barkley as the example.
Yeah.
You're telling me you wouldn't want to have Charles Barkley
Love
in
that
your
guy.
organization?
of course you would. So we'll dig into these things during our dead period. 610-632-0975. And now time for the Twitter poll with one Jen Scordo. We learned a lot about Jen before the show today.
Aha.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you fellas over there?
Right.
All right. Today's Twitter poll. Do you believe this Sixers team makes it out of the second round of the playoffs?
All right.
Yes or no? Well, really, yep or nope. Right now, nope is winning at 62%.
Yeah.
We got about 500 votes already.
All right. And that's fine. I don't even mind. This is where it's fine. If you want to be a person that says, I'm not going to believe until I see it because they've been through some things, I will respect that. But you got to meet me halfway at they have, by fact, won 27 of 33 games, and Doc Rivers coached all of them.
All of them.
He coached all of them.
them.
And why is it, Jen, since you're the one with the heart, since I'm supposed to be the hard-hearted person, why can't we just acknowledge something really teeny-weeny like that?
I don't know. I literally don't understand it. It keeps me up at night. It makes no sense to me. I don't understand.
Another one that's floating out there that we need to pledge, and we'll get to the phones. This is what I've been seeing online. And we had a couple people call about it last week. If Hurts takes a discount, stop right there. Hold on. Jalen Hurts, we know how football works. You saw what happened with Kyler Murray. He held out last year, tore his ACL just running on the field. Football is a dangerous sport, period. This is his first, and for all we know, because we don't want it to happen, but you don't know what's going to happen, only opportunity to cash in. It's different than the other sports. This is his chance. Now, you can say, oh, what do you mean? He's 24. He'll have a long career. Maybe. He also gets hit in the head as a job. You never know what's going to happen. This is his one opportunity to cash. If Jalen Hurts decides to give a discount or structure it a certain way to help the Eagles, great. But that is a choice. His obligation is also to his family. His obligation is to whatever charity work he wants to do. I don't know what's in Jalen Hurts' heart. But whatever it is, this contract we must pledge that whatever he gets, we're happy for him because this is a one-shot deal many times with NFL players.
People have to understand that this is his shot at the bank, okay?
Right.
If I tell you you get to go in the bank, but you have 5 minutes to grab all the money you can and you're done, or do you have all day to pick out all that money? Which one are you taking?
Right, you go if you had all day, but you don't have all day.
You only have 5 minutes?
You got 5 minutes.
I'm telling you right now, you go for the biggest payday you possibly can get, and he's going to. I don't think it's unfair. I don't think it's unfair to any whatever pro team it may be. Mm-hmm. It's not unfair. They're there. What do you think he's there for?
Right.
To get his ass handed to every weekend and hurt his shoulder? No.
For free?
He's going to go out there. He's going to get his money.
Yeah, and the league,
deservedly.
Yeah, the league is also a brotherhood, so it helps set the market for other quarterbacks and things of that nature to help Joe Burrow get paid, Justin Herbert get paid.
Right.
There's an avenue here for all these guys to get the bag, and it's then on Howie to make this. It's not Jalen's mindset to help the team out and all. It would be lovely, don't get me wrong.
And
but
he can if he wants.
Right, but
it went
for me,
from a bag to a Brinks truck with Mahomes. Is what happened for quarterbacks.
Yeah, and guess what? It didn't stop them from winning a championship. So there should be no fear in paying the quarterback if you push all the other buttons.
Right, if you do it correctly. So I'm just seeing out there, I'm trying to nip it in the bud early because I'm starting to see, well, if he takes a little whoa. None of that. No.
Man.
We're going to pledge to let him get his money the same way you would. Whatever you do at your job, when you go to get paid, when you go ask for your raise, do you take let's be realistic terms. I know you're not an NFL player. You can get a 5% raise, a 4% raise, or a 3% raise. Which one do you want? You want the 5% raise. You can meet him in the middle and give the company a 1%. What?
No.
No.
And think about the numbers we're talking here. We're talking like, a 500% raise, 1,000% raise?
Right.
But the salary cap also goes up. So I think you got to remember what percentage of the salary cap these numbers are. You see 45 million, 50 million. Well, that's equivalent to 27 million years and years ago when the cap wasn't as high.
Right. The cap goes up incrementally. It's about the percentage of the cap. If he gets the same percentage of the cap, for example, as Mahomes, it would be higher than Mahomes, but same thing. Good. But we just need to make because I'm seeing it out there where now it's his job to bring Hargrave back. That's not Jalen Hurts' job. That's Howie's job.
And one more thing to add to that. If the cap keeps continuing to grow, which it will, this $50 million, if it's X% this year, in 5 years down the road, that $50 million would be less percentage.
And even in the non-cap sports, remember the people who were all up in arms about the money Bryce Harper got then?
Yep.
Look at that contract now. Look at his years.
It's a team-friendly contract.
It's a team-friendly deal, right? Like this is what I mean. Like, no. He did what was best for his family. He got the most total money at the time for the biggest contract ever. He chose to have the full no trade because he wanted his kids to be in one spot. He did what was best for Bryce Harper at that time. And surprise, surprise, now that deal looks awesome. You know what kind of money Ohtani's going to get next year?
Did we dodge a bullet with Manny Machado because he's opting out now?
Yeah, because the thing is, he wanted an opt-out. Harper does no opt-out. He's here. He's here with a full no trade. Like, he's here.
And bringing all his friends.
And he has some hypothetical, I know that they're just not in. When he hits home run 400, he believes he's going to hit 500. Yeah. He has money he'll get later on. I'm not worried about money he gets when he's 41 years old.
I don't think he is either.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So I just want to make
the whole
clear.
Machado thing is great because I don't. Number one, I don't think he wanted to go there that long a period of time, and I don't think the Padres wanted him there that long.
It works out for both.
It did,
but I think he's going to play at a high level. This year. I think he's going to play.
Oh, he's going to look for like 45 million next year.
Meanwhile, we'll still have Bryce locked in. All right, let's go to the phones. Anthony in Warminster making a pledge. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Anthony?
Yeah, what's up?
How you doing?
So, all right, I think a lot of people should make a pledge that just because they're a superstar doesn't mean everything they did was right. Like, take, for example, Hurts had a great year, but he fumbled in the Super Bowl, which directly led to 7 points. And when people call in, they go, well, I'm not blaming him for anything. He had a great year. That has nothing to do with the game.
They also, but you kind of skipped over, Anthony, the fact that he was responsible for a bunch of touchdowns.
No, see, you just did it.
I didn't. No, I didn't just do it. That's a fact. I didn't state it. I stated a fact. No quarterback quarterback no quarterback in Super Bowl history had ever accounted for 4 touchdowns and lost the Super Bowl, ever.
But my point was that if you bring that up, people go, well, I'm not blaming him.
Well, I'm not blaming him mostly, no.
Anthony,
he's not number one on the blame.
If you feel this strongly about the fumble, you should feel 7,000 times as strongly about the defense. Because if you want to acknowledge that one flaw, well, there was a billion flaws in Gannon, and it seems like that's just getting overlooked.
Well, that went straight to 7 points. Oh, my next point, real quick, is I'm hearing a lot of pledges that you guys want the fans to do. Tyrone, what are you pledging that you do that you feel you shouldn't do anymore?
I'm going to pledge to have more tolerance for fans that are out of pocket like you are, Anthony. That's why you're still on.
You're doing a great job, Ty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my pledge. Like, nothing that you've said so far has really made sense, but I've sat here quietly. That's my pledge.
Your thoughts, Anthony?
It actually makes sense.
No, it doesn't, because you don't understand the game in totality. When we look at football games, it doesn't boil down to one play. That's why this show.
If it doesn't boil down to one play, why was there millions calling about a flag?
Who? That wasn't us.
Yeah,
we can only speak for ourselves. We said the flag was one of many things. The game should have never been close enough to where it came down to one flag. I brought up the Quez Watkins drop. Is that allowed, Anthony? The Quez Watkins drop, is that allowed?
I never said that was.
How about the butt-naked open guys on consecutive touchdowns given up by Gannon? Is that allowed to be pointed out?
I never said that's the only reason why they lost. What I said.
You led with it, though.
Yeah, leading with it is problematic.
That's the issue. You led with it.
I said, if you bring it up, people say, well, you can't bring that up because he did good all year.
We didn't say that.
Bill Buckner did all good all year until he had the ball go through his legs. Right?
But thanks for the call. Buckner was also hurt on that play.
Yeah,
he was injured and shouldn't have been in the game. There's always more nuance to it. 610-632-0975. We'll dig more into this because what am I going to do? I told you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my best to treat people with less brains like they're geniuses. And we'll be back here on 97.5 The Fanatic NBC Sports Philadelphia. But we're talking about the different pledges. The reason I'm saying this is we're noticing some things from a great fan base that doesn't necessarily have to be some things we're doing. Like the Sixers negativity, fine. They have to prove it. I understand. Although there's more nuance to it when you had the albatross that is Ben Simmons on your roster, and then James Harden was traded in season last year. Like, he's only been on the team 13 months. No, 12 months. He's only been on the team 12 months.
Seems like he's been here forever.
Right.
Which is odd.
12 months. One training camp.
And Simmons sucks. Let's not even bring him up anymore. Screw that guy.
Well, the reason why it keeps getting brought up is it needs to be proven how problematic he was in those series.
I think it's already there now. I think it's gotten to the point where he went to New York and he made a fool out of himself there, too. Screw him. Stay in Brooklyn as long as you want there, pal.
And the Sixers will return on Thursday. And the Phillies are coming, but generally the vibes around the Phillies are positive, as they should be. But here's the weird part. If the equivalent thing was going on with the Sixers that's happening with the Phillies, in that Bryce Harper's going to start the year on the IL due to his Tommy John.
So that would be Embiid out for 40 games?
Yeah, roughly 35, let's say. Yes, 30, 35 games. There would be people out there going, oh, man, we're in a lot of trouble. Phillies, people are saying that, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Within the city, we have our own ecosystem of fans now, and the Sixers ecosystem is down bad. Bad.
It's been a long time.
Like they're down bad.
I mean,
it's been even longer with the Flyers, but Flyers fans are not nearly as down.
they're a cult.
They're not nearly as down, and obviously Eagles and the Phillies were in the World Series. It's just interesting that when national people say Philadelphia fans, they're not realizing that there's a number of different fans. About to go back to the phones. Now, I don't know where Troy's going to go with the Hurts contract. I hope it's positive, though. But what, Jen, what does your gut say? Positive, or just what your gut is?
I think it's positive.
Think it's positive?
I do. Yep. That's my gut.
Hunter, what's your gut say?
I don't know. I feel if you heard us speak about it rightfully before the break, and then you call in, maybe we hit a nerve.
Right.
That's just kind of the way I'm processing it.
Ricky, will you positive or negative you think it's going to be?
I got to go positive.
All right.
He doesn't mean that, though. You saw his face.
No.
Yeah,
All
it wasn't convincing.
Let's find out from Troy in Philly. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Troy?
What's going on? Y'all, I'm a first-time caller. I
Thank you.
check cellos for the post office, man, so I listen to y'all guys. Y'all be having me over here dying, yo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dying. If I'm hurt, give me my money. Don't play with it. I
Okay.
want my money. I
know.
want my money because first game come up, he could tear something and can't come back. Now he looking weird, and he ain't get his money. Give me my money.
I think
I want the 50.
I think you're right, Troy. And now there are ways to structure it. For example, if you make the contract 10 years, which you can do, what looks like a lot of money now,
Right.
year 4, year 3, hell, year 2. Because once Herbert, you mentioned all those guys, once Burrow and Herbert and all those guys get paid, whatever Hurts gets this year is going to look small next year. By year 2 or 3, the contract will become a bargain. It's just a matter of getting it done now in the right way.
Yeah, I just give me my money, and I know we could spread it out, and so we could save some of our players, but that's not my problem. I want my money.
Yeah, that's
Well,
Howie. That's on Howie.
But
it is kind of your problem too. I mean, you want surrounding players,
Nope,
and I understand.
I don't.
I'm just saying they could piece this thing out for a while.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that's on Howie. He's going to say, I want this. And then their job is to say, okay, well, this is how you do it. It's kind of like
It'll start off thin for Hurts, and then it'll start getting thicker as time goes on.
and he'll have a big, and the way he accepts that is you give him the big signing bonus.
Yep.
You say, I'll give you $1 trillion up front, and then the cap number will look like this because he'll have money and cash in hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. But I want my money. The second thing, all right, so we're talking about the Sixers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Phillies let us down. The Eagles let us down. Are you going to really pitch your heart into the Sixers?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it gets broken, I'll put it back together again. Something will happen. I'm just being real with you, Troy. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. Thanks for the call.
And I think this is, since the Jimmy Butler, J.J. Redick year, this is our best crack at it that we've had in a while. I know the Celtics give us some trouble, and you look at the wing and maybe where do the Sixers match up. Okay, there's some problems. I like their matchup with the Bucks. I think they have the size to kind of do something nice there. So, look, they got a good shot. They have a decent shot to compete. And if you're giving me that before a 7-game series with these top teams in the East, I don't know if I can complain right now.
You just used the word, though. The whole compete thing. You want to hear they have a way of getting over these teams.
They can, though.
But here's the tough thing. By and large, the Phillies weren't competitive. Well, they weren't competitive with the Mets at all.
No.
And they weren't that competitive against the Braves. Then they got to the playoffs, and then all of a sudden the Braves didn't have a chance in hell.
Braves pitching staff was injured, which always helps out.
Right, but what I'm saying is, right now you have Jalen Brown playing with a facial fracture, for example. You never root for injuries. They just are an unfortunate certainty. Somebody's going to be injured in playoff time. You hope it's not one of your guys, and in a perfect world, it would be nobody. But think about the bad injury luck the Sixers have had over and over and over again. What happens if they get the benefit of injury luck a time or two in the playoffs? What are the odds that Markelle Fultz, going into the playoffs one year, with headbutt beat in the eye to the point where his eyeball was moved a couple centimeters because of an orbital fracture? What are the odds that Siakam would intentionally throw an elbow into Joel Embiid's face, and then the Toronto announcers would cheer it? Sooner or later, the ball's going to bounce in their way with some of that stuff. I think eventually it has to happen.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. I think over the long haul, injuries balance out. Part of the reason why the Eagles had all 22 starters was medical and science. Some of this was, think about those years when everybody was hurt. And the medical staff, which is the former medical staff, was just lost a lot of money in that lawsuit with
$43 million. Right?
Yeah, with the Chris Maragos. For some of this is, wow, all that bad happened, and then the ball bounces your way, and all of a sudden you have 22 starters, and then you somehow manage to still lose the Super Bowl because Jonathan Gannon adjusted wrong.
Ty, I got a question for you about the Sixers team. Now, I put a lot of stock into a floor general. I think it gets underappreciated what the point guard does to help set up an offense, especially in the playoffs when the games slow down.
For sure.
Open court, regular season, up and down, that type of stuff happens. But when you slow it down, You just look at over the years. Okay, so Ben Simmons is your point guard all year long.
Yeah.
Then the playoffs come around, and you have to give it to T.J. McConnell. The same thing happened with Jimmy Butler. In the fourth quarter, you had to take the ball away from the guy who was running your offense every single game.
Right.
Josh Richardson. Now you finally get to James Harden. My point is there's been so much turnover in one of the most important positions in the game, specifically in the playoffs. Is that noticed throughout this talk of them losing in the second round every year?
No, but you're solidified now. So, I mean, this is the time. This is the place. You know, you can't go back.
But this is the first year, Ricky. Like,
I understand that, but you can't keep going back. I see where you're going for, but, I mean, you got to keep looking forward. If you think that these two could to get you over the hump, then be on that side. Don't jump on that train after it goes by that second round.
I just think it's so important, and it gets overlooked. And James Harden last year was injured, and when he got brought over here, there was only a couple games before the playoffs began.
Oh, yeah.
It's extremely hard to run an offense and then to snap your fingers at the trade deadline with all the turnover of this roster every year with Al Horford, this and that. It was constant change nonstop. The Bucks have built with this core for a while. The Celtics now is getting comfortable with their core.
They've been there a while, though. But Brown, Tatum, and Marcus Smart have been there for a while.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They've been there for a while now.
Exactly. And that's my point.
Yeah, those guys have been there. They know where everybody's going to be. You're just now seeing the dominance of Harden and Embiid together. So that's why I still think the best basketball is ahead of them. And I don't even mind if people disagree. Where I mind is where they act like the team's garbage when they've won 27 or 33 games. Let them lose more games before you decide they're garbage.